Hi, we're back to the Neil Haley Show here on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program Nick Loeb from Roe v. Wade. Nick, what's up? How are you, man?
Good, Neil. How are you? Thank you so much
Good.
for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Before we get into the movie, I wanted to kind of talk about your background. I mean, you always wanted to be an entrepreneur because entrepreneurship was first, then acting was second. Now, filmmaking and really making a movement is now where you're at now. So you're making films to really kind of make a difference in this world in so many ways, but kind of explain that background of his entrepreneurship to where
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a mixed bag. I mean, I studied business in school. I started my career in film at 22. Really, first 6, 7 years out of university, I was in film and producing and acting, and then I had to go make some real money, and started also becoming partly an entrepreneur to make real money. I always tell people, I make money as an entrepreneur and I lose it in film. And so I took a bit of a hiatus in film for a while, and I came back, and I'm a mixture sort of both of an entrepreneur and in the film business. I mean, now as I've gotten older, I'm just focused on what I'm passionate about and what I love, and that's film. In terms of making movies about movements, it really wasn't an idea that I wanted to do. Roe v. Wade, initially, the concept and idea was to make a movie about a court case that the entire world country has heard about, but nobody knows anything about, which I thought was relatively interesting and also very entertaining because it wasn't sort of a dry courtroom drama type movie. It was sort of like an Oliver Stone conspiracy theory movie. I'm a huge lover of history, so I now really truly only focus on historical films. My next film is not necessarily a film for a movement, although you could say there could be, but it's an historical piece, as a story that's never been told as well.
And see, this is the thing, watching the trailer, the first trailer you had out before, and just seeing specifically enough the all-star cast you put together, and then the story that you cannot decide what you're thinking about, Nick, what side you're on in the story, because there's two sides to the story. People that this movement, this court case has changed the lives of everyone for the better, some people think, and the worse for other people. But we can't tell based on the story which side you're on, Nick. And I think that's important in a
Yeah, I
film
mean,
like this.
my goal was not, I didn't come from the faith-based community. So I came from the film world. And so my goal was not to make a hit you over the head, preachy film, all about faith, God, and babies. My goal was to make an historically accurate, dramatic piece based on a court case of how that the most famous court case in American history, about how it got there and how it came to be. And you have the pro-lifers and the pro-choice guys, and they're battling it off.
Right.
And at the end of the day, people will have to take a look at it and make the decision for themselves. You do have two of the characters in the movie that convert and become pro-life, because that's what happened historically.
Right.
Historically, there was no pro-life characters that converted and became pro-choice in the story. So for that, it may, slant a little bit pro-life, but it's up to I mean, a lot of people think it's in the middle. A lot of people think it's one
I
way
think
or
it's
another.
definitely middle. You could not tell. And then I was wondering, wow, someone made a movie that's pro-choice on Roe v. Wade. Wow. Now that's going to really tick off conservatives, right? That's going to the pro-lifers. But then after you find out that's not the case, you're like, wow, this is really right down the middle, because
Well, have you had a chance to see the movie, Neil?
I have not saw it yet, but I want to.
Well, I guess you'll make up your mind when you see it. So it depends where you are. I mean, I think it depends where you are. I mean, I think a lot of people who really aren't even in the movement, right? Who don't really care about the issue,
right.
Find it to be evenly balanced. People who are dogmatic about the issue one way or another do not.
Really? Okay. So Nick, I'm pro-life. Okay. I'm a conservative, but again, I won't put that out there like, like pro-Trumpster, different things. I go in just a way of the journalist to make sure I am fair and balanced in my interviews and discussion matters. Some of my co-hosts that they really show their true colors. But I've been in the pro. I done March for Life when I was a school teacher in a Catholic school, 3 4 years. I felt the power and the pain of what's happened. And you look at specifically enough both sides. You're right. They're going to have a different perspective than somebody that really doesn't care about the issue. But to get all these amazing this cast together, that's got to be a challenge, right? First presenting that to each one of them to say, I want you to be part of this film, and yet it's right down the middle, because a lot of filmmakers really put a story that is going to show that there is a theme based on what the filmmaker wants.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at so a lot of people will take a look at the cast and say, "Oh, John Voight, it's a right-wing conspiracy movie." I'll tell you though, the majority of the actors in the movie, even the majority of the politically conservatives, were pro-choice, and they wanted to do the movie because they read the script, and after they read the script, they were sort of. I know John himself was just floored at the amount of information that we laid out and thought it was extremely interesting. I think the second reason that a lot of the cast ended up doing the movie was because it was a historical piece and they got to play Supreme Court justices. I mean, guys that were, pillars and gods of the legal system at the time they lived. And for an actor to get to be able to maybe play Justice Brennan or Justice Berger or Justice White or Rehnquist or Powell or any of these guys, I think was an amazing opportunity, one that you actually never see in Hollywood. I've actually never seen a movie where any of the Supreme Court really is portrayed in any movie. And I think that they found that to be very interesting and intriguing, and having a script that was like this, I think really is what helped get cast.
And how did that process go? Did you think you were going to land the cast that you were able to land?
No, I thought it was going to be a huge uphill challenge, mainly because I was pro-life. It does in the movie show a lot of the bad things the pro-lifers. I mean, you may not want to say it's bad, but it was the way they got things done that may not have been, for the lack of a better phrase, kosher. And so there was sort of an angle. So no, I thought it was going to be challenging. But we ended up with some great, great cast, and guys that have been, guys that were huge when I was growing up. I mean, I was addicted to Dukes of Hazzard and Police Academy, and having John Schneider and Steve Guttenberg there, were, was for me like the best thing in the world. Or having Jamie Kennedy from Scream or Joey Lawrence from Blossom or Stacey Dash from Clueless. It was like, all of these actors that I grew up with that were sort of iconic during their time it was amazing to have.
Exactly. But then I could just see how you painted the picture, how well done it is. That really looks like the court, looks like the history of it. It looks like just the drama that you want to see the film, just to see what happens in the story and to know the backstory, which isn't out there, right? We all know the case, but that's it. We don't know the backstory. We don't know the backstory leading up to it, really, and we don't know what the reasoning and how difficult it was for that case to be turned the direction it was. And then just from that process, that's what makes it interesting. So kind of describe, without giving away the film, in the way that basically what led up to this case and stuff, that again, and how they utilize this.
Essentially, the case came about because essentially Planned Parenthood and NARAL were the two leading women's rights groups or pro-abortion groups in the country at the time, and they were trying to change the laws on a state-by-state basis, and they just thought, this is going to take forever. We got to change the laws in 50 states. And they said, maybe we can get the Supreme Court to do it in one fell swoop across the nation, but we need to find a girl. And they went out and searched for a girl, and they met the girl, Norma McCorvey, aka Jane Roe, signed her up, never spoke to her again. And then they had to figure out how to get her to the Supreme Court.
And they had the perfect story for her to be the one, right? That
Well, they did had, it's interesting, you'll find out in the movie, they didn't have the perfect story because the problem was getting a girl that no girl wanted to come out at a time saying publicly, and including Norma. And this is what actually gave them the perfect cover. They gave her the pseudonym of Jane Roe. So
right.
nobody could ask this girl any questions, know about her background, knowing that she had already had two children. This was her third child. She never even had an abortion, um, and she was a disaster. Uh, she was a runaway and alcoholic, but none of that would come up or play into the case because she was cloaked under the pseudonym of Jane Roe, and that was the brilliance of the case. And anyway, there's a lot more to it, and again, I don't want to give it away.
No, not at all.
They really utilized they utilize the media. I mean, and you'll see in the film what's very similar and has a lot of parallels is what's going on today is how much influence the media has on the courts and just in people in general. And the two protagonists of the movie, Bernard Nathanson and Larry Lader, truly understood how to use the media and how to manipulate it. And you'll see throughout, they then at the end of the movie, they confess. They essentially confess about everything that they did, and all the things that they did weren't on the up and up. And all of that's taken from their books, which they came out and confessed. Well, not all of them. Bernard did, not Larry. But
That's amazing. And meaning just the fact of just how that they were able to manipulate the media was able to manipulate the story to the court. So everyone saw this in a different lens, kind of like you said during the election or COVID, two different areas that the media was controlling everything that's happening and dictating what there's only one right way to view this, not in both the lens of half the country that disagreed completely on this.
it was really interesting, and it was in an essence of the time, brilliant. And they were really masterminds and brilliant the way they orchestrated all of this. And you'll see when you see the film.
Was that in the film? Are we going to be surprised at the outcome after all the evidence that comes through?
Well, I think everybody knows what happened, right?
Yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah. But meaning just
the outcome is there. I mean, the end of the movie is not the end of the court case. The end of the movie is the end of through Bernard's journey, through the end of his journey. And I think there you'll be surprised by the people who don't know the story will be surprised by the outcome. I think a lot of people who've seen the movie and come out of it have been infuriated with what happened. I think this has angered a lot of people seeing the movie. Upset people. I have a lot of people who have come out crying, and I'm very emotional to see what Bernard did and went through, and what has happened and how it went down. This is not a fairy tale ending, right. But it's an ending I think that gives people some sort of either pause that maybe are in the middle, or some people are on the right, a call to action.
Well, especially with our last president, President Trump, was able to really move it towards the case for the overturn. Now doesn't look very possible at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll be at a stalemate. I know that President Biden is trying to codify Roe. Because part of the argument that you'll see is that it's a law the law should be created by Congress, not the judiciary, which is how our government is structured. And so he's looking to codify Roe. I don't think that's going to happen either, and I don't think. And listen, there's more of a chance that this could go back to the Supreme Court or a case, and it could get overturned than it would be codified. But what I think people don't realize today is that Roe v. Wade, whether it's overturned or not, has nothing to do with legalization of abortion. People don't realize that. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, all that doesn't make abortion illegal. It just sends it back to the states.
Right.
It becomes a states' rights issue. And so, essentially, and that's the way it should be a states' rights issue, or it'll end up going to Congress and creating a law, the proper way things should be done in our country.
Not let the courts make the decision, let our lawmakers make decisions.
I mean, they wouldn't even be beyond making a decision. They actually not only made a decision based on this law that they just passed that wasn't even a real law based on the right to privacy that they said was in the Constitution that wasn't in the Constitution that they based Roe off. But then they came out and the judges created a 3-trimester system. Like, that's not the job of any judge to create a system of laws based on medical trimester. They're not even doctors. And then they not only created this medical trimester system, they then created a loophole that made the trimester system irrelevant. I mean, we're one of the only things. There's 4 countries in the world that have such permissive abortion laws that you can literally have an abortion at any time when you want to the day of birth in America, if you truly want, anywhere in the country.
Is that different in other countries?
In most countries, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Western Europe. In most countries, you can't have an abortion after the first trimester. And I think the challenge in America is, except for now a couple of states, I mean, if you feel in month 9 that you don't want the baby anymore, and you go to a psychiatrist and say, if I have this baby, I'm going to kill myself. The psychiatrist will she needs an abortion because her life is in danger. And she'll be able to use the argument that she needs an abortion to save her life.
Yeah.
And that's how she can get away with getting around the 3-trimester system today in America.
Wow. It's such interesting stuff that is covered in this film. And what is your whole goal at the end of this? What do you want people to learn?
I want people to know that I want people to understand the truth, see what actually happened, have a fair discussion. And I want truly people to understand what you'll see in the film. And I think a lot of my generation is missed on this. I think the younger generation, not so much because of technology, but that when a woman is pregnant and she has an abortion, it's not a clump of cells or a gabagoo. It's a human being in a life. And whether you still believe in abortion after that or not, I want everyone to understand that an abortion kills the life of a live, living human person.
What has been the response, Hollywood, of you making this film?
I mean, they have not been thrilled. We've had agencies out against us, big organizations trying to stop the film from coming out. So it's been challenging on that side. And we'll see. It'll be out in 3 weeks. We'll see the reaction. And I think that, people who really were involved, like true people who were involved in the movie or read the script, or like I have a lot of friends who read the script. Most of my friends are pro-choice and liberals. I have a lot of friends who read it. I even have one actor in my movie who's a liberal, who actually changed their position on abortion either after they read the script or were involved in the film.
Which you can't say.
Because he still wants to have a career in Hollywood now. So I mean, listen, if I can change hearts and minds, and if this movie can save one life, it was worth it.
And that's fantastic. And you're doing this all on your own, funding it yourself, right? Pretty much, Nick, or you're close?
No, we went out, we raised the money. I went out and raised money. We crowdfunded it. We have a bunch of investors. Funnily enough, our biggest investor is pro-choice. Interestingly,
wow.
Because he felt when he read the script, he felt it was 64, like 50-50. He now feels the way we cut it is 60-40. But he felt it was 50-50. He also felt that because he was a business guy, and he felt because it was so controversial, whether it was one side or the other, that he would make a lot of money. People would go and see the movie. So I've got investors that are Catholics, Christians, atheists, Jews, that run the gamut. Getting a movie financed takes a mountain.
The movie now, question on the movie, is it going to be in any theaters or not? Or you?
No, for us, most theaters are closed. And the challenge with going into any theaters today is that you're required, all the theaters require what's called a 90-day holdback. That means we can't stream the movie for another 3 months.
Oh, goodness.
So there's no reason to go out to 100 theaters that are open, then to have to wait another 3 months to release it streaming. You know, if somebody came and they wrote me a big check to spend marketing dollars, then we could do that. But, you know, other than that, it's just not worth it.
Gotcha. And so it'll be streaming. It'll be available in 3 weeks. As we're going to be airing it again, but just want to know available in 3 weeks. What's the date? And then it'll be available on all streaming platforms.
Yeah, April 2nd, it should be available on Amazon, iTunes, everyone's local pay-per-view. If they've got cable or satellite pay-per-view, they should be able to buy it there.
Oh, that's great. So you're gonna be able to have it on the on-demand areas too. So that's
Yeah.
awesome to have that. That took some time, right? Because it's an independent film to be able to get that, right? Not everyone gets that.
Yeah,
right
well,
off the bat.
we have a fantastic distributor, a team that's been in Hollywood for a very long time that understands the business and have deep relationships, called Quiver Distribution, and they were able to strike all those deals.
How's the reviews gone so far?
We've had great reviews. I mean, the movie, we haven't really sent it to reviewers. The only people who did reviews were people who saw it at during our premiere last week in Orlando at CPAC. And so we had about 3 or 4 reviews out of there. We will end up selling it to reviewers. All of them were phenomenal. I think the best one was from a magazine called The New American. And I was really blown away by the in-depth research that the journalist wrote and the fact checking that she did, because there's been a lot of criticism in our film that we lied and manipulated and we made stuff up and blah, blah, blah. So in order to combat that, we actually on our website created a link called Fact Check. So if there's a scene in the movie that's like, oh, these guys made that up, there's no way that's for real. You can go to our website, go to Fact Check. You can read about the scene. You can see the actual source material that we got the information. And so
That's great.
I think, I mean, it helps. It doesn't solve the issue of fake news because the news will still say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, but the good news is it's a split down the middle. And if you get the conservative people to stream this and really promote this, it could do really well.
Well, from your lips to God's ears.
Just think of different conservative movies or even Christian movies that have done so well in the box office. Meaning, like, did what very well.
Yeah, Unplanned did very well. I Can Only Imagine, God's Not Dead, Passion of the Christ. I mean, a lot of these have done very, very well. So, we can only pray.
All right, best place to watch, go and learn about the film before it launches. Where can we go?
Yeah, they can go to RoeVWadeMovie.com. You can read all about the movie. You can see the trailer clips. You can even, there are a lot of organizations and people doing pre-screenings, doing their own screenings in their homes, churches, or groups before the movie's released, and they can actually sign up to do that, and we can help set them up through RoeVWadeMovie.com.
Fabulous. Appreciate you stopping by. What you're really putting yourself out there. I guess not wanting to act in Hollywood again and make a comeback. That's not going to happen. But maybe, Nick, if you end up getting an award for your work, then you'll end up in, maybe, who knows, the Oscars next year. You never know. Right?
I won't even go down that route.
But somebody's going to recognize
white males don't qualify for Oscars anymore.
All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, Nick, and thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. You're watching the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Christopher Hall Show here on the Total Media Network. And I'm excited about the program. Dr. Christopher Hall. Dr. Hall, how are you? And thank you for your service.
I'm doing great, Neil. No problem. I'm just excited to be here on the show with our wonderful guest today. Very excited.
All right, so go ahead and introduce our guest.
Hey, my name is Monty Washington. Just happy to be here.
Motivation.
He was introducing you, but don't worry. Hey, Monty, thanks for stopping by. How are you dealing with the quarantine right now?
I'm managing pretty well, to be honest. At first, it was tough because I'm an extrovert. I like being outdoors. I like working. I work from home, but that means I like to work at coffee shops or co-working spaces. So it's hard, but I've adapted really well now. So I'm just trying to stay safe, honestly. Just trying to do my part to stay safe and, follow all the rules and wear my mask, the simple things. But I'm making the most out of this time off from both my industries, from speaking and acting. So I'm making the most out of it.
That's we have to make the most out of these things and these situations, and a curveball always hits us and we have to deal with it. All right, Dr. Hall, for your first question.
No problem. Well, Monty, tell me about, like, where you're from and how did you get in acting?
Well, I'm a foster kid, so I'm from a lot of different places. I lived most of my life in Phoenix, Arizona, but I lived in New York, I lived in Ohio, I lived in Dallas, Texas, and I got into acting. Just loved performing. To be honest with you, I was an athlete. I went to college. I got a basketball scholarship. But even back in elementary school, middle school, and high school, always loved doing plays and acting. It was fun. It was something to do to stay out of trouble. And then going into college and graduating, I just realized I love this. I'm more of an artist than an athlete, and I just stuck with it. You know, you get training, you do studios, you get personal coaching, and then you just hit the ground running. Especially in LA, it's just a grind. It's audition after audition, no after no, and I've been in the game for about 8 years, and finally things are coming together. So yeah, it's just acting. It's my passion. It's my calling. It's what I was put on this earth to do, to tell stories, to impact people in a positive way.
So with sports, what was your best sport playing?
Oh, basketball. Yeah, no, I was a hooper. Hooper. Basketball was my first love. Basketball was my first love.
The first love, and what? So did you play in college?
Yeah, I played in college. I went to a junior college, and I went to a D2 in Ohio. It's a private black college, Wilberforce University. So yeah, I got my college education paid for through sports until my senior year. Then I stopped playing. I focused strictly on acting.
Ah, okay. All right, Dr. Hall, next question. You ready for the next question, Dr. Hall?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead.
Wow, it's very, oh, no problem. Well, it's very exciting, you know. And the thing about Monty is he is a person who is very motivational. Comes from a very humble background. You know, and I have in common, you know, Monty, I was grew up in foster care and boys' homes and juvenile hall all over Los
Mm,
Angeles till I was 18. And so
wow.
Monty's story is awesome. This is a gentleman who has a very humble background. His experience
I'm slowing down. Those will be the cutting room floor.
cum laude, the number of these. Monty, tell us a little bit about um, your childhood and growing up in those foster care.
Yeah, my childhood was pretty rough. I grew up. My mother was a prostitute, and she was a drug addict.
Come on.
You know, I was conceived in a hotel room. My dad, I never met him, and I truly doubt he knows I exist. And because of the way I was brought up, I grew up sleeping in parks for weeks at a time. I lived in crack houses on multiple occasions. I grew up in group homes where I was in 12 different group homes over the course of a few years. So it was really rough. Just every stereotypical thing, just seeing the drugs, seeing people get shot, stopping ex-boyfriend of my mom's from beating her. It was a really rough time, including being hospitalized. One of my foster homes, I was kind of beat and then hospitalized, and then I was locked in a room by another foster parent for nearly 3 months for almost 23 hours a day. And what that did was that, you know, that I developed depression and had suicidal tendencies until I got therapy and I got help. So yeah, my childhood, the first part, it was really rough. Honestly, through the grace of God and just sheer luck, I'm here and I'm in a nice mental state. But yeah, my childhood, up until about high school, until I got to my last foster parents, things were pretty rough. I'll be honest. It was a trying time. But looking back on it, you know, it's really molded me into who I am now. So I can't get mad at it. And I'm blessed and grateful that I'm one of the few who survived, because I've worked with young men who lived in foster care, who lived in group homes, and a lot of them aren't doing very well right now in adulthood. So I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones, to be honest.
Now, we had one of our guests, Jen Lilly, and Jen is really doing some great work with foster. Did you know about her work and stuff like that? She's an actress in Hollywood.
No,
We'll have to connect. I'll have to reach out to your
that'd be great.
publicist and connect you to Jen for sure. I think that would be a great thing. And I could see a story also with you, with that kind of story that you could write something kind of like that for what you grew up, because there's not success stories like you out there, like the story you just brought up about, you know, you're not even knowing your father, your mom was a prostitute, being able to go through all those hard times. I mean,
Yeah.
did you ever think of that, looking at putting something together like that, writing wise, a screen?
Well, I do. I'm working on my next book. So I have a book right now called From the Streets to the Stage.
Oh, wow.
And it shares a little bit of my life story in a very self-help book. So when I tour colleges and lecture and give lectures, that's what I do. It's on Amazon. It's called From the Streets to the Stage. So, but I wrote that a few years ago. So now with my perspective now, and I've reconnected with my biological mom and done some therapy and counseling, I got a different perspective on it all. So I'm starting the process of writing my next book. But yeah, that's what I'm using my acting platform for. We live in a celebrity-driven world, let's be honest. And unless you're a big name or you have a ton of money behind you, it's hard to get your story out and to make people really care unless they know who you are. So that's one thing I do every time I do anything with acting. I make sure people know where I came from and what I've experienced, on top of how hard it is to be successful in this industry, just to use that as a way to really inspire people. So as my celebrity grows and, you know, I get to that Will Smith level one day, hopefully, that's going to be a big part of my narrative, is showing people, even a kid who was abused in foster homes and was in special ed classes till 8th grade, despite where you start, it doesn't determine where you're going to go in life.
Yeah, so the PR firm that Jen Lilly is part of, we had someone from the same show, Bros, on too.
Bruh, yeah.
Did you know that? Did you already know?
No.
And who was it? See, Chris will remember the name. I interviewed so many people. It'll come to me later, so I'll go back to that question.
Okay.
But Dr. Hall, who was the other one we had on from Bros? He went to the University of Pittsburgh and stuff. So it'll come to me in a second.
Right, Marty.
Who?
Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boy Marty Kachi. Yeah, that's my dude from Bruh. He plays Tom. Yeah, that's my guy. We're like real bros in real life. Like those are my guys. I didn't know he was on here. That's great.
Yeah, he didn't get to do the video. He got to do the radio, but the same PR firm that represents him represents Jen. So I will make sure your publicist connects with that, so you and Jen can kind of collaborate some. I'm always about connecting and helping people, and maybe when you become Will Smith level, you'll remember me.
Yeah. I'll be happy to come back on, Neil.
All right, good, Dr. Hall. Next question.
Wow, no problem. I mean, this is and you know, that's the thing about the show. We have such inspiring guests, you know, and I think that our guests can relate to the fact that sometimes in life people judge you by the cover of the book or how they see you, and that's not really what you are. So tell us a little bit about that. What do you think about how people judge you as opposed to who you really are?
Well, there's one thing I say every time I speak, and it's almost my MO, is we don't look like our story. I said it all the time. We don't look like our story. And people assume because where you've come from or the way you look that you have to behave in this way, that your future is already predetermined because where you came from. But we don't look like our story because we're greater than our story. But a lot of people buy into that false narrative that our stories and our experiences form who we are. And I don't think so. Anybody listening to this, I want to challenge them. Your stories and your experience don't form who you're going to become. They inform you about who you can become. So when you have a paradigm shift like that, to where instead of just because you were abused, for instance, I was abused, I was abandoned. There was a lot of moments in my life where I felt like I wasn't loved. Those experiences didn't form me into somebody who was unlovable. Those experiences gave me information on what it feels like to be abused and not loved, so I don't give those experiences or abuse somebody else. You're not a failure because you're not a failure because of your experiences, right? You have those experiences so you can learn the lessons that only failure can provide for you. So to anybody out there that assume one thing or another, remember, we don't look like our story. And the only way you can get to the bottom of it is to engage with the person, really get to know who they are and what makes them tick, because we all behave, we all act based off of our experiences. Now, some people say, my dad was a drug addict or alcoholic, so I have to be a drug addict or alcoholic, right? A lot of people believe that, but instead it's like you experienced that negative, that hurtful experience. So now that information that you ascertain from it can make you a better version of yourself. So I believe by going through all those negative experiences, it made me a much better version of the Monty now as a grown man. If I would have had a normal life without any adversity, I don't think I would be as loving as I am of people, as understanding. I wouldn't be as driven. So, you know, our stories don't form us, they inform us because we don't look like our story.
See, I love that answer, and that's the
Yeah.
motivation that we try to do here on the Dr. Christopher Hall Show. And also myself as Neil Haley, I look at my growth at 47 years old and where I am today and how I act compared to when I was a professional wrestler and how I
Right.
was minor leagues, never got to the big time, but how I interacted with people, how I dealt with people, how I dealt with adversity to today where I deal with adversity, and I'm able to just say, you know what? I focus on positivity, focusing on being
Right.
positive and looking at what's the next step to make things better, not to focus on the negative. And I think that we surround ourselves sometimes with negative people who bring us down and keep us from
Yeah.
our true belief and calling. And that's where you look at success versus failure. Some people fail because of circumstance. They don't fail because of talent. They fail because of circumstance. But if they can learn how to deal with their
Mhm.
circumstances and make the right choices, but it's harder. When you're
Yeah.
stuck in a position like you were, that's
Mhm.
going to be the kind of thing. So, all right, Dr. Hall, with your next question.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So now tell us about some of the challenges there that you've had there in Hollywood,
Oh,
and how you use those challenges to bring yourself higher.
woo, challenges in Hollywood. People have to understand, anybody who listens to this and is inspired or feel their calling is Hollywood in this industry, it it I'll say this. Perseverance is a cheat code for life. I'll say that. Perseverance is a cheat code for life. And if you're going to come to Hollywood and you're going to plan on making a living doing this kind of work, you're going to have to persevere. I've been in this industry, I've been in LA 9 years, right? 9 years. Now, in the last year and a half, I've been able to make a living off of acting. So 8 years, right? So you could have gone to undergrad school, you could have gone to med school, and now you would have gotten the benefits of it. And that's how it is, though. That's exactly how it is here. It's you have to persevere. The challenges are insurmountable oftentimes. I've been passed up for roles because I was too black, too bald, too tall, too short, too young, too old. There's so many reasons why you don't get the role. And in LA, this is the mecca of entertainment, TV, and film. Everyone from around the world comes here for this dream that there's only so many spots for. And you have to understand the totality of what you're getting yourself into. I remember watching an interview a while ago with Don Cheadle, and he was asked a question like this, and he was so honest. He's like, if you're talented in anything else, if you're good in anything else, go do that. Don't do this. It is too hard. It is too hard. It is too difficult. It is too much of a struggle. But if me saying that is enough for you to go do that other thing, then you're not meant for this work. It has to be a calling. I can't see myself doing anything else other than being a motivational speaker and lecturer and being an actor and being fulfilled. I can do a lot of other jobs. I hold 2 college degrees. I can do stuff to make money, but to feel fulfilled, I'm so fulfilled in my work because I'm making a living off of acting. I'm on 3 different shows, and by the time quarantine's up, there's a great possibility I'm shooting the second season of those 3 different shows. And that is a blessing. It is rare, but it's taken me nearly 9 years to get these opportunities. And how many times I can't tell you how many different jobs. I literally worked at a restaurant, was a life coach, did security, and did catering on the weekend at one point just to make ends meet so that I had room to audition and to do this stuff. So the struggle is real. It is hard as hell. That is all there is to it. But you got to love it.
Yes.
A lot of people look at actors and they're like, oh, it is hard. And a lot of people say patronizing comments so often. And it's like, do you know what it is to be college educated and to say, forget a real career, as people say, I'm going to go chase a dream where the chances of me failing are 100 times more likely than me succeeding, and you still go for it. It takes a special kind of individual to go ahead and do that. So just be ready. It's hard as hell, but it's worth it.
I see, and I absolutely look at the same thing as you're looking at right now as an entrepreneur. I can
Mhm.
go ahead and get a better job. Have a side hustle job or a full-time job plus multiple businesses, but then I wouldn't feel fulfilled. Would
Right.
never want to give up on this dream of all the different things I've developed in a digital marketing company, PR firm now, trying to grow and take it to the next level, have a bigger show, all these things. I could never give
Yeah.
any of this up. This would just be the thing that this is what drives me. When I was a professional
Right.
wrestler, I did give that up. I did give up that dream, a step away from the WWF. Probably would have wrestled in Japan, probably would have done, but I chose to have a family and do these things.
Mhm.
This here, I can still have both. And then,
Yeah.
and I might be putting my hat back into the ring again because of
Mm.
entrepreneurship, opportunity to make money once the pandemic's over. Just like you, I can't wait because I have a lot of
Yeah.
plans, especially expansion of how the
Right.
show to go on location more, to have more opportunities, the right team. But we're just waiting. But
Mhm.
I'm just kind of summarizing how well that was answered because
Yeah.
that's how I feel. So
Mhm.
looking at when you talk about how much did college prepare you in this way for this? Because again, when I look at hiring people, I look at certain reasons, and I'm sure Hollywood
Mhm.
does the same thing. Are they reliable? Are they a team player?
Mhm.
Are they willing to work hard and study through even that audition? When you go to the next level, they're looking at what that time you show up, how you're
Oh yeah.
how you're doing those things. Do you believe college helps you in that
Yeah, this is. I'll answer that in two different parts. So as far as college, I feel like it's the overall college is outdated. There's a lot of degrees that don't lead to direct means of income. I'm just being honest. My mass media communications degree, I'm not doing anything with it. It's like, what is a mass media communication
you have
degree?
a perfect podcast coming.
Right, exactly. But
Yes, there you
I
go.
don't have to do that to do a podcast. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm a communicator already. And
True.
then my
I don't
business.
know. Maybe some of the things that help you become better than a lot of people in podcasts. Okay, I'm just gonna give you
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying there's a lot of degrees. So I believe college as trades. If you need to learn how to be an architect, a doctor, a lawyer, a carpenter, all these different things that take specific
Skill.
skill sets,
Yeah.
but like a general business degree, a general communications degree, on as far as that, that's not what's important. What I took away from college, and when I even speak, I go speak to college students. The not only the experience and the growth, because in college you're going to find out who you are or who you aren't, and that's an invaluable experience. But college teaches you one of the most important and invaluable lessons in life. You, in order to get what you want, you have to finish what you start. If it takes 160 credits to graduate, if you have 159, you're not going to get your degree. You have to finish what you start. And that's one of the biggest things for college that I say. And just who I became as a person. I found my calling in acting and speaking in college. I found who I really am. I'm more artist than athlete. So on that level, and as far as in Hollywood, yeah, I think it just prepares you for it's Hollywood is difficult, and on set, all that matters. Like right now, I watch Westworld, I watch Game of Thrones. Marshala Ali is one of my favorite actors, and I just found out he's doing this role that I wanted so bad. I was like, oh man, when I make it, and it's like frustrating. But then again, just like you said, when you're hiring, they look at the totality. They have to look at your resume. They have to look at your reel to say that you can actually do the job. They have to look at your history. Now it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, I'm a leading man type, so I go in for auditions with guys who have much more illustrious careers than me. So I'm at a disadvantage because it's like, well, they're proven. Yeah, you have a nice look. Yeah, you're a nice actor, but they're proven.
Right.
So you have to really, that's why you have to persevere, because there's a little element of luck to where you finally get that big opportunity and you have to be ready for it, because there's so many things that you're up against. But every show is a multi-million-dollar company, every show. So if they're going to invest millions of dollars in all the cast and crew and editing and sites and production, they need to make sure you're capable of doing it. You have to have the confidence, you have to have the skill, you have to have the training. So I get it. it's a lot at stake, and a lot of actors, we take it personal, thinking, oh, we're not good enough. Sometimes you're not ready. I wasn't ready for the Tyler Perry show at years ago. I wasn't. Bruh, I went on set with Marty and my boy Barry and my boy Philip, and we killed it. Why? Because I was ready. And Tyler Perry works at a completely different rate and pace than any other production company. But if I didn't get my BET show Games People Play first, which was my first recurring role on TV, I had to learn it's a different experience when you're on set for a couple of months versus you come on set, you say 3 or 4 words and you leave. But I had to learn that experience, because if I would have got to Tyler Perry before that, I would have crashed and burned.
Yeah.
But now I'm so much more confident, so much ready, and so much more prepared that whatever comes my way, I'm ready for it. So yeah, part of that is.
I think it's definitely college, and I think that
Yeah.
you're right about degrees that are useless. But having to work hard, having to put the hours in, having to perform to get that degree is such an important thing. And I
Yeah.
believe that that it's such a part of it. Now, Dr. Hall, also thinking about, when we think about his story, you think about the adversity he dealt with in different things, but then bam, he gets this opportunity and he goes with it. But I think they look for workable people. They look for certain
Yeah.
things. They want experience, but they also want, are they going to be able to follow direction? And that's where the director is such a powerful thing. Go ahead, Dr. Hall, with your next question. Are you there, Dr. Hall? Don't worry, you're not frozen. It's Dr. Hall.
No.
Chris. Okay. He bounced, so he's off for a second. Maybe his phone. Okay. Let's go back to finally kind of not closing it out, because I want to talk about your latest projects. He's good jumping back in. But let's talk about Bra for a second, who your role in this is, and then talk about some of your other projects you've done. And what I'm trying to tell all actors now, just because it's over, you got to still stay on it, because
Oh my God.
because if there's nothing else to promote the old stuff as well,
Yeah.
because the old stuff people can go back and watch now. But go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, important for that. And my role, I play Bill. I play architect. Out of the 4 bros, bros, just it's you got 4 college friends, fat brothers, who are navigating life and dating in Atlanta in the 20th century, which is dope, because you can't really point to a show where you see 4 African American men just living life normal.
Right.
At the forefront of the show. And that's part of the beauty of it, in which we're all grateful that Tyler Perry, chose us for that. But it's just my character. I'm one of the outspoken ones in the group, and I made the cardinal sin. I let a good woman go. So a lot of my journey in the first season is, how do you deal with the fact that you realize you made a mistake? And how do you prove to this woman who's essentially moved on, how do you prove that you're different and you really want her and it's about her? So that's fun and very humbling, to be groveling in all these interesting situations my character Bill puts himself in, while maintaining the relationship with his bros, which is like uber important in the show. It's just, it's brotherhood. That's the main point of the show, and it is fun. We just watched episode 11, is on BET Plus right now. It's streaming. We got one more episode before we do like a mid-season break, because there's 24 episodes in total. And it's just fun. Everything you see on there, we bring in real life. We chat. We got a group chat. We talking. I'm probably about to call one of them after we get off of this. The relationship you see on screen is as genuine as it gets. I've worked on other sets with other people where it's a very work relationship. We working cool. After we go our separate ways. You do you, I do me. But with this, the brotherhood it's a real thing, and it translates on screen, and it's such a fun show. It's so fun.
All right, Dr. Hall, now are you okay? Ready for the next question?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, and that's great, that interaction with you and the members on the show. Now, let me ask you this: How do young Black men end up in special ed, but are able to graduate magna cum laude from college? Tell us about that.
Well, part of it is it's work. It's a lot of things. So it's really important to have a couple of people in your life that believe in you. Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Luckily, I had a few people in my life that saw my potential, believed in me, a couple of teachers, and a couple of CASA workers and caseworkers who kind of spoke good into my life. So that's a big part of it. Another part of it is busting your ass. I was 4 grades behind. I was in special ed classes up until 8th grade. So I was behind. I should have graduated a year earlier than I actually did because of moving around. And, you know, there was a lot of time where I wasn't in school. So part of it is school isn't, it isn't complicated. It's like, it's not complicated. It's not easy, but it's not complicated. Study, study, study. That's not the sexy answer, but I was at tutoring every day after school. I asked questions. I busted my butt. I remember in 8th grade when I was held behind, and I remember going to the honor roll assemblies and people coming up and they're smiling, they're getting their little piece of paper that has their GPA. And I was just sitting in the back and like, I felt stupid, if I'm being honest. I felt left out. And I was like, I hate this feeling. I remember being in 8th grade and just being like, you know, I was a bit of a class clown. You know, I had some behavioral issues and all that stuff because of what was going on at home. But I was just remembering, like, how cool would it be to go up on that stage? I liked the idea of being congratulated and being rewarded for something. And after that, it's just something clicked. I was like, I don't want to feel stupid. I don't want to be called stupid. And I busted my butt. I applied myself. I made my education priority, along with sports. And my last foster parent, my foster dad, Jeffrey Banks, Pops, he made it very clear that studies come before sports. So if you're going to be a successful athlete, which basketball was my love, I loved it, I had to apply myself. So that's what it was. I made it a priority. You got to make it a priority, your education, and see where it can get you, because I knew my foster parents, the moment I hit 18, I'm out. I'm out. What am I going to go do? Just work at a normal job, and that's my life? College set me up for success in that way. I got to go somewhere else, and I got to leave the state, and I got to experience that. And I just made my education a priority. I made that, I understood the importance of that, and I made it a priority. And that's what people got to do. You got to focus on your studies.
See, that's a fabulous part of the story that, again, that's why the book. So
Right.
again, that's why, and again, we're trying to promote your other projects, but the book, so you really you're a hybrid in so many ways, a jack of
Yeah.
all trades. And I love that, because the fact is that you have the multiple ways of promotion and development.
Mhm.
How did you figure that out? Like, I mean, I know your story, but did somebody encourage you to tell the story?
Yeah, actually, I was, I think it was junior year. I took because I first I got my AA in business marketing, and then I was gonna go try to get into business law. I was going that route. And my teacher, I think sophomore, junior in college, she was like, I don't know if you're built for lawyer work. Like, are you, like, your personality? She's like, have you ever seen a happy criminal law lawyer or business lawyer? Because those are the 2 areas I was thinking about. And I'm like, no. She's like, okay, just think about something else. So anyways, I switched my major to communications because I was like, okay, I like communicating. PR was really dope to me and all that. And I had a public speaking class, and I wasn't taking it serious. And my teacher was like, Monty, tell me something about yourself nobody knows. And so we had this whole conversation, and I told her a little bit about my story, and she kind of dug it out of me. And she's like, oh my God. Because I was a cool dude. I was a big man on campus, and nobody knew that because I was ashamed of being a foster kid. I was ashamed of my mother and, you know, where I came from. And she said, she bribed me. My teacher bribed me. She said, if you, the next public speaking thing, so the next time we have to get up in front of class, if you tell people your story and you do it honestly, without any jokes, without any clowning, I'll give you an A for the course. I was like, word? Okay. And I just told my story, and some of my classmates were crying. People were like, man, I never knew, like, you're a big dude on campus, you're the athlete. I thought everything was good. And after that, I realized the impact my story could have on people. And my teacher, Dr. Moore, encouraged that. And then after that, I was like, you know what? And I also have my best friend, Julia Garcia. She knew my story, and she always encouraged me to speak and to do that. And I was like, nah, I was ashamed. That's just what it was. I was ashamed. And after going through that, I was like, wow, there's power in this. There's a way to inspire people. And I was hooked. And I love speaking. I love being in front of people. So all that played in, but I realized the impact my story could have on people. And from then till now, that's what I've been doing.
Okay. Dr. Hall, summarize Monty for us.
Well, no problem. Well, there you have it. I mean, a inspiration. I said Mr. Motivation, Monty, an individual who has started out from a very humble background, where we were in special education, and we had thoughts of not really wanting to be here. But Monty overcame that, used hard work, grit, to work his way up.
Yeah,
Wow. Yes. Thank you for being on the show, as he was about to
no
say.
problem.
And it's just like unbelievable. Other projects. So what can we watch with you right
Thank
now?
you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I totally agree with you. What a great guest. I mean,
Thank you.
he definitely just impressed the heck out of me. And he makes everyone think, you start giving up in life and say everything is wrong, especially Rona. If you can
Yeah.
overcome this, you can overcome anything. But tell us other projects. You have Bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have bruh, not bro, bruh,
Bruh,
B-R-U-H.
bruh.
Bruh. Yeah. So
That's it.
I have bruh that's streaming on BET Plus right now. Episode 11 just came out. It comes out every Thursday. So you can go ahead and stream first 11 episodes. After next week, we're going to take a bit of a hiatus, mid-season break. So that's the biggest. I have Games People Play. That's also on BET Plus and the BET Network. We're waiting to shoot the second season. We were supposed to be shooting the second season 2 weeks before we got quarantined. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, another show, Stuck With You, is on UMC Urban Movie Channel. It's an online streaming platform. And that's streaming. You can stream the first 6 episodes, massively different characters. And then I'm working on some stuff myself. I'm switching over to the virtual lecturing and speaking field. I'm working on my next book, and I'm working on my own show, acting-wise, with a couple of good friends of mine. So, yeah, I'm just staying busy. I believe despite all that's going on, there will be an abundance of opportunities for everyone. If you can see them, if you can create them, if you compare yourself to be able to take full advantage of them.
For right now, meaning
Yeah.
if you don't take it right now by the horn and say, oh, we're going to complain about, can't go here, I can't go there, I can't do this. Well, you find out, do something else. It's just a short period of time, and we'll get through this. And then doors are going to open up for people that don't want to knock on them because they're giving up. Not giving up. They're like, oh, this is a break. You're not taking it as a break. You're taking it as it's game time. And that's the athlete that you are, and all the struggles and difficulties you've gone through. So where can we follow you, places, connect with you?
You can follow me online. Most actively is on Instagram at Montivation. That's MONTIVation. So at Montivation, that's my motivational speaking one. And I have at Monty_Washington. That's more of my acting and personal stuff. And then on Twitter, you can find me Washington Monty. So it's just my last name, first name, second, Washington Monty. And yeah, that's it. You just on Instagram, go ahead, DM me, like, comment, all that good stuff, and just keep up. I haven't slowed down. There's a lot more to come.
And your book you can purchase on Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon. From the streets to the stage on Amazon. Yeah, from the streets to the stage. Go ahead and get that. You get a little insight of my story and some personal help.
And everyone needs to purchase Dr. Hall's book. That's on Amazon as well, right, Dr. Hall?
It is Word of the Court, and it really talks about a lot of stuff that Monty and I went through growing up as kids in foster homes and boys' homes, and Monty was in 12 of them, so it talks a lot about those kind of things. So,
yeah, I have Monty's cell. I will group text you guys. You guys, I think, need to hook up and be a way of trying to do some great things together for sure.
All right, thank you guys so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, guys, that was the time.